What's up YouTube? So recently I got an amazing question on my Patreon community, link below the video if you want to join, about how unique modern really is. And I thought this was an amazing topic to debate with all of you guys, so if in the end end up enjoying this video, this topic, consider to leave a like, really means a lot and is the best way to show support. If you are a new viewer, also consider to subscribe. Let's put all of that out of the way, let's go into the video and I hope you have fun. Question number one goes this way. Hi Andre, what do you think about the recent sales of 3 one-of-ones for Messi? Actually more than 3, but I will talk about that in a second. You talked already about numbered cards / stickers, but why should all of those money be paid for not actually unique stuff? Many thanks. Well, thank you so much for the question, my friend. I think this is an amazing question. I guess you know this is also a very complex one, but I will try my best to put in perspective such an amazing topic. And let's start with this. Let's take a look at recent sales for Messi 2022 specific with prisms and specific ones of ones. You can see that there is actually for the most recently one and also upsetting the record for them is the gold prism one of one, sold for more than 200k. I think this is a very good sale, very strong sale, and if you are a Messi collector, a Messi investor, even though I think both are connected, this should give you a lot of hope. This should put in perspective that there is still a lot of big money into the Messi market. That said, the Prism one-of-ones prices are very irrational. Looks more an investor item than a collector's item. This is the type of stuff you should take with a huge grain of salt. These type of items are a lot of times manipulated to push the rest of the set, to push the rest of the market. Not saying this ended up happening with Prism 2022, but I think this is a disclaimer that is important to put out there. Now, and this is the reality, they are ones of ones. If they are bought by collectors that are super wealthy, by the way, that would be the best scenario, we may never see them again and all of my logic goes out of the window since they are in collectors and that's it. So you can make an argument that made sense to pay certain prices. Looking at all the prices, seems obvious to me that the sticker seems kind of cheap comparing with the Prism stuff, and I would say also the Breakaway Black Prism. The sticker is actually unique. Why? Was the only one of one for a Messi sticker in this set, in this lineage. And that alone is quite huge. I do not like the idea, and I guess this is a critic that I make to Topps and Panini both together, that nowadays we have different ones of ones. A one of one should be that. That's it. There is one of one. In this case, we are seeing already four Prism on the screen. I understand that makes them sell more product. For example, even breakers, they may stop breaking if certain ones of ones are pulled out. So there is logic behind this type of stuff. They also can make more product, but I personally do not like it, and I think will be much more interesting if they go back to the original idea that a one-of-one is actually a one-of-one for a specific card. Now let's talk about narratives, because I think one of the reasons a lot of those cards, not a lot, all of them end up selling for so much is the narrative for Messi 2022 is still quite hot in the market, that people think, you know what, Messi won the World Cup this year, so automatic the Prism, which is the most important brand in soccer, especially when it comes to national teams, so the Prism in that year should be very, very important long run. And by the way, that can actually be truth. I tend to disagree with that narrative in the sense that I believe people are pricing that too much already. That said, the reason I think the sticker is cheap, again, the main reason is actually a one-of-one, but even the narrative in the future can become much more interesting to tell. And as a collector, even as an investor, I think that's something super important. We know that, for example, around the world, a couple of governments actually had to talk about the short of supply in Panini stickers. How amazing, how beautiful is that narrative if you are a collector and if you have the one-of-one Panini sticker of that tier. I don't know. This is my perspective, but I think that could be something quite amazing, that could be the type of narrative that gains power over time. The narrative that Prism have right now, being the year of the World Cup for Messi, is a good narrative, but can actually lose power in my perspective. For the sticker, I think there is a much better narrative in the long run. Numbered cards, and this is the bad part, numbered cards can give some sense of security because you control one side of the equation. What's the equation? I talk about this so many times, is the law of supply and demand. But they are highly speculative. If buying modern, please focus on key sets. What are the key sets in modern? I don't want to repeat myself over and over, but I think you guys know. Prism 2014, Chrome 2017, Flawless 2015, those type of sets, they have some proven right now. They end up proving themselves to the market, even though they are still very speculative. Most of the stuff we have right now will become irrelevant over time. Why? Because time is not your best friend. Time actually makes things become irrelevant. Now, to put some perspective, there is more one-of-ones for Messi in 2022. This card is a very good example of that, sold for 26k. Eminence is, at least I think people consider this a high-end product, but also shows the power of certain brands, of certain lineage. And I think Prism is probably the strongest of all of them. But now, the crazy thing about Modern, we all pay stupid premiums for cars that the only unique thing is a different color on the background. Some people may not like what I'm about to say, but I already said it. It makes not a lot of sense. I do that, you do that, we all do that, and we all accept this like something normal. Does this make sense? I also don't know, to be honest. Long run, we shall see. I think right now we are still in a bit of a bubble for graded cards, for numbered cards, for cards in general. I'm not talking about soccer, by the way. I'm talking about the entire market. You can say we are in a bubble for collectibles. You can make amazing arguments also for that narrative. Prism 2014 is a historic set for our market. I think even people that don't like the set tend to agree with that. But the reality is quite simple. It is still part of the irrationality that is evident when buying the modern product. Take a look at the examples I have on the screen. The base card on Prism for Messi in a PSA 9 is 50 bucks. If you are buying that raw, I don't know, maybe $20, maybe less, maybe more, but around that. Now take a look at the gold Prism for Messi. Is $500,000 in a PSA 10. The PSA 9 is a bit less, but in a PSA 10 sold for $500,000. What's the difference between those two cards? The reality is it's the same card. I know people, Andre, that's not the same card. Well, it's almost a philosophical type of question, right? In reality, it's the same card with a different background. The blue background, for example, in a PSA 8 is 1K. Some people may even say that the blue background looks a bit better than the gold, even though this is very relative. But what I'm trying to say is the different background, the different color is what we are paying a premium right now. But you guys get the point. This is still very, very speculative. Long run, we shall see if all of this makes sense. When you buy a Cristiano Ronaldo Mega Cracks, yeah, there is no variations. And I think there is something beautiful about that. I don't think we pay for uniqueness of the card here, because again, they are the same card. We probably pay for the lineage and having the best of the best. This may sound almost the same thing, but I actually believe it's not the same thing. It's more, we understand the lineage and we understand the best of the best, not unique, because the reality is the photo for Messi is the same. Hey guys, quick pause on this one. Hope you are enjoying the video, but I want to share two things with you. The first is my Patreon community. If you love this type of videos, you probably love my content on Patreon. I put a new Q&A every week there, and I also put extra audio that you can call a podcast on Saturday. If you join Patreon right now, you have hours and hours and hours of content. It's actually quite crazy. Link below the video if you want to join. In this case, link on the description. The second thing is my Discord server. Amazing place to interact with me, amazing place to interact with other collectors to learn about the soccer card market. We are more than 900 members and we are growing super fast. Link also below the video, check both, and now let's continue with this one. Now, time is not your friend. In my last podcast, I actually ended up talking about this. So if you want a bigger explanation about this topic, go to my last podcast. But in modern, this applies very well. Time makes most things irrelevant. I don't know if you guys like philosophy or not, but if you like it, you know that time also makes all of us irrelevant over time. Certain people may stand the test of time, but it's the 0.001%. If you are buying random numbers / color cards for Ronaldo, Messi, or any other player, to be honest with you, I would rethink that strategy right now. I'm not sure if that will play out that well, or at least you probably should put things in perspective right now, basically, because that seems a dangerous route to go. Can certain sets in modern become important and build the lineage that makes them worth invest over time? 100%. And most likely that will happen. There is certain sets right now in the modern market that we are not appreciating, that in 10 years maybe collectors will say, you know what, that set at the time was actually very important. That set was actually unique. I don't know the name of the set, but I suspect that could be a thing. I think there is a lot of sets going in that direction. Those examples take with a grain of salt, but I think Finest could be an amazing example. I think Stadium collectors in general, and this is my personal belief, personal experience in the market, but people tend to love the set, and a couple of more are going in an amazing direction that makes me believe in them long run. They are still crazy speculative, comparing with Prism 14, comparing with Chrome 17, and even comparing with high-end sets like Flawless or Eminence, specific the first years. Very human for us to think that the opportunity is gone and we are late. And is also very normal to look for the next big thing. You know what, I already missed the boat on this one, let me find the next one. Unfortunately, it is a dangerous mindset. A lot of times, and I'm not giving you an example in specific right now in the soccer card market, but a lot of times, probably the correct path is still believing in the product that have amazing fundamentals, even if you think you are late. I guess I can give an example outside of soccer. So I actually love Dragon Ball, and I started collecting Dragon Ball recently. Not recently, I already had a couple of Dragon Ball cards, but I'm going a bit more heavy right now. I love TCGs, as you guys know. And Dragon Ball Score is an amazing product, but it's quite expensive for Dragon Ball. I know I'm speaking Chinese right now, but I feel like I'm late on that market. But am I late if I believe in the product? So this is the type of questions that we don't have a clear answer, of course, but I also think I'll always have this in mind. Trying to chase the next big thing could be a very dangerous mindset. So related with this dangerous mindset, I remember in 2014, by the way, I work with digital marketing and Facebook was a big part of my business. And I thought, you know what, I want to invest in the company. At the time, the company was doing very well. But a couple of my friends told me, Andre, at $60, that's a lot of money. You end up missing the boat. Facebook was an amazing buy at $30. And to be honest, there was amazing points to be made for that. I ended up sticking with the plan. I ended up doing this and I ended up being very successful. I bought at 60, I sold at 200. That alone does not mean that what you are buying right now will be the same. But I also think that if you believe in something, if you believe in the product, you may not be too late. You may just not be at the low that you really wanted. Now, one of the last points I want to make on all of this modern craze and artists gonna art. What I mean with this, aesthetics of a card is probably one of the worst reasons to invest. Eye appealing is very, very relative. Time teaches you this. A new beautiful card will appear no matter what you think. And this constant cycle of new products will make a lot of this stuff irrelevant because there is always the next big thing. There is always the next card that is even more beautiful than the last one. Do I think that Prism 2014 is the most beautiful set in our market? No, I don't think that, even though I think it's a beautiful one. But the reason that set is important is not because it's crazy beautiful, it's because it's historical. And that's something art does not have anything to do. You might disagree now, but I will repeat myself on this one. Time will teach you this, either you like it or not. And I know some people may think, no, Andre, you are crazy. That select card is so sick that collectors will appreciate that forever. Maybe, because that's also a possibility. But if you apply that logic constantly, you'll fail more than you'll be correct. Put things in perspective. I know, I repeat myself so much on this. Oh, here we go. Pushing the narrative to vintage and pre-modern over and over. He's not trying to push the narrative to vintage and pre-modern. He's actually trying to push the narrative to what actually makes some sense. He's trying to share with you some perspective. It's amazing the number of iconic cars that are facing huge corrections in our market. All of the cars you are seeing on the screen are facing huge corrections right now. Some of them I like a bit more, some of others not that much, but they are iconic. Some with similar or even lower prices than we had before the boom mania in 2021. We talk about this on Patreon quite a lot, but the reality, and I say the reality quite a lot, but the reality is that many cards are no longer having a relevant increase in pop reports. I have an example for you in a second. Every card will be a card, every case will be a case. Another thing that I say quite a lot. But yeah, I think there is more opportunity in iconic cards now than in most modern random sets. This may sound self-evident, but believe me, many collectors fail to understand this type of stuff. Perspective gives you a lot of knowledge. Repeating myself so much, right, my friends? Perspective. Numbered cards. And I love the Chrome's 2017, I think you guys know this. That Modric card, just talking about cards without autos, there is more than 500 numbered cards total. The Zidane card you are seeing on the screen is above 100 copies at PSA, 105 copies. Let's say 100 copies to make things a bit easier. In the last 5 months, and this goes back to my last point, only 2 copies end up getting graded at PSA. So basically since the start of the year. Now let's compare some prices, and I will talk against myself because I bought the Neymar Gold you are seeing on the screen. That Neymar sold for 800 USD. The Zidane you are seeing on the screen, I end up the grade is not appearing for some reason. Not for some reason. This was my mistake, but the grade is a BGS4. That card sells for a very similar amount of money. Where do you think is a better opportunity? I have almost no doubt, especially because in terms of greatness, I think Zidane is quite ahead of Neymar, but I think the person that bought the Zidane one did a much better deal than I did. Now I will tell you one thing. I already have Zidane. Actually, I had multiple copies for the Zidane rookie, and I'm trying to expand my collection. At the end of the day, I'm a collector, and I want things that make sense for my collect journey, for my collector's goals. But if I had none of these cards, I would prefer the Zidane by a large margin. To finalize my thoughts, I think Modern is an amazing market. I think Modern have a lot of opportunity, but I think you have to put a lot of time, and I think you should put stuff in perspective and understand that there is still a lot of crazy narratives going on with Modern, and it's a very, very speculative market. Cards are speculative by nature, but Modern even more.